Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, today is a terribly sad day for the LGBT community and for all of America. Today is the one-month anniversary of the deadly shooting spree at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, that killed 49 people and injured dozens of others 1 month ago. Throughout the day today, there will be commemorations across the country. In fact, members of Congress are holding a vigil this evening on the steps of the United States Capitol. With everything going on in this country right now, these horrific shootings of gay people, black people, police officers, what we should be doing is coming together as a nation, not tearing each other apart, which is exactly what this bill does. As I sit here now, it is difficult to imagine a more inappropriate day to hold this hearing. Even if you truly believe that being gay is morally wrong, or that people should be allowed to discriminate against gay people, why in the world would you choose today, of all days, to hold a hearing on this discriminatory legislation? To say that this hearing is politically tone-deaf is the understatement of the year. And I do not believe that the chairman did this intentionally. He may not have even realized before the week that today is the one-month anniversary. But we asked repeatedly to cancel today's hearing or at least postpone it. And dozens of groups and other stakeholders made the same request in letter after letter after letter to the committee, all without success. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to place into the record the letters and statements from 77 groups and organizations relating to today's hearing.
Without objection, so ordered.
It's actually 80, Mr. Chairman. We got 3 more.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. I also ask unanimous consent to place into the record a letter opposing this legislation signed by more than 3,000 faith and clergy from across the country. At any rate,
without objection, so ordered.
We are here now. For the record, I do want to thank the chairman for agreeing to our request to have 3 minority witnesses on the panel. I truly appreciate it. It is much more balanced, and I commend the chairman for agreeing to our request. We're honored to have with us today our former colleague and distinguished friend in the House of Representatives, Congressman Barney Frank. We're also very honored to have Jim Obergefell, the lead plaintiff in the Supreme Court's recent case legalizing same-sex marriage. He has a very important and poignant story, and we thank him for being here today. Finally, our third witness is Catherine Franke, a nationally renowned legal expert and director of the Center for Gender and Sexuality Law at Columbia Law School, and I thank you as well. I'd like to address my remaining comments to Senator Lee and Representative Labrador, the 2 members of Congress who are here today sponsoring this legislation in the Senate and the House. I had hoped that we would have had the opportunity to ask you questions about why you believe your bill is a good idea. But now I understand that you will not be taking any questions from members of the committee. So I would like to ask just one question now so that you might address it in your opening statement. I am the son of 2 Pentecostal ministers, and I strongly believe that people have the right to freely express their religious beliefs. But Senator Lee and Congressman Labrador, my question for you is simply this. What is the difference between discriminating against someone who is black and someone who is gay. For centuries in our nation, a black person could not marry a white person. Those in power justified this doctrine on religious grounds, and they codified it in our laws. But in 1967, the Supreme Court changed all that in the case of Loving versus Virginia. The court held that this discrimination is unconstitutional. Now we have a similar situation with same-sex couples. For centuries, gay people could not marry. This discrimination was also justified on religious grounds, and it was also codified in our statutes. But last year, nearly 50 years after the decision in Loving versus Virginia, the Supreme Court ruled that this discrimination is also unconstitutional. I acknowledge that this change is a major change, and this change is very difficult. But the paramount lesson we have learned over our nation's history is that if we are separate, we will never be equal. That is the lesson we should be reinforcing across our great country every single hour of every single day, especially now. And that is a lesson I hope our committee takes to heart today. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.